Why should I? And in fact, I wasn't even thinking about him at the time. I had already pushed him off in my mind. So I get on the train, and now he's not saying anything, but he won't acknowledge me with his eyes. He turns the other way. The other person just steps up automatically, take my ticket. I push through the door, and I go to the first car. So this time, when I get to the job and I mused on it, I said to myself, I said, self, why should you feel ill at ease getting on transpo, heading for your job that you pay for because of something that you are within your every right to do? So I made a complaint. I called the Metro, let them know what was going on. I think the line I called, she said, well, not this line. You need to call the other one in reference to that. And I did, made the report. And while the lady had me on the line, she said, he did what? And I was like, yeah. I was like, listen, mind you, it was both of them in the car. And before I could get out what I was getting ready to say next, she said, both of them were in the car? I was like, yeah, it was two of them. But I'm assuming they were probably just chumming. She said, wait a minute, just to clarify. When you got on the vestibule of the train, both of them were there. I said, yeah, both were standing there. I'm assuming they were, just chumming, which is fine. I don't have any problem with that. It's just his disposition. She says, look, they're not supposed to be on the car together like that. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she says, I'm going to file the report. There's more stories like that I can tell. But when I got out of bed this morning, these are the words I heard. The word I heard was subjugate. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. Subjugate. And I had to, when I was going to, doing my morning run after getting out of bed, I pulled out my phone and I started to research. I was like, what is subjugate? And it says, I did the Google search. You search it on your own at your own liberty. It says to bring under, it says domination or to control, especially by conquest, is to make someone or something surrender to you. A similar word would be to conquer, to vanquish, to defeat, to crush, to overcome, to oppress, to subdue. All of these experiences, again, no harm, no foul to the police at large. But then there are those, sometimes I feel when you're pulled over. Sidebar. Remember I told y'all a couple of videos ago that Renee and I went to my brother-in-law's house. He asked us to come out, and he talked about the video, the deer, the guy, brother-in-law talked about the deer. On our way to my father-in-law's house, the police officer used to be a police officer. Before we could get to their house, the police pulled us over. I saw it happening in real time. Now, Renee was driving. I was in the passenger seat. I was using my peripheral vision. I was observing my intuition and discernment out of the corner of my eye, and also the rear view mirror, because I could kind of see the rear view mirror from where I was seated in the passenger seat. I saw the police car doing its maneuvers. Anybody see, ever watch a patrol car just lining up and they about to do something? So I saw them doing that. Before they got behind us, they pulled up on the side. She was driving. And in my heart of hearts, God forgive me if I'm wrong, I believe when they saw me on the passenger side, looking like I look, I believe they wanted to know who I was. They probably thought they had something because I wasn't driving, and they wanted to see. So once they saw me in the car, they slowed up and eventually got behind. I looked over at Renee and I saw her pulling over to the median lane. What's going on? They pulling me over. And I was like, see there, see there. Now, mind you, all the things I just named, community, all the experiences, all the, the oppressiveness, the onslaught. And I'm going to talk a little bit more of why I believe the onslaught was taking place. But all that in mind, and I'm sitting in the passenger seat and I see what's happening, and I know it's about me. They want to know who I am, So both officers got out of the car. One went to Renee's window. This is on the way, they asked us to come out. And was it for dinner or just a visit? Did we eat? I don't know. We were going to visit because we had time. Yeah. It was my father-in-law's, I think, birthday. Or something was going on. But anyway, one officer went to Renee's window. And they said something about the plate that she had a vehicle prior to this one that was totaled. And the plate, she just moved over to this car. And this is this was some time ago. This didn't happen yesterday. This was what, a couple of years ago? Some time ago. Again, for me it felt like just a ruse. They just wanted to know who was in the vehicle in that part of town, and it's probably not us populated. I'm not going to go any further than that. Beautiful homes over there. Beautiful homes. But anyway, as he's questioning her, another guy comes over to my window. He asked me to roll the window down. He's pulling up on his clothes like Barney Fifer. I don't know if anybody know. That might be a little above some of y'all's time, but pulling up on his clothes and straightening it up. You can see his bulletproof vest on because that's all he had on because it was kind of a warm day. And he was trying his best, like bugs and insects and animals do. I'm not talking about them. I'm just saying when two of the same come up, one tries to appear larger. So he was making his position more pronounced by his movements, and he asked me, he says, can I have your ID? So me just being me, y'all can talk about me later. But I looked over here and I said, why? I'm not driving. And then instead of him saying something, the guy over at Tina's window said, because you're in the car. And every now and then in life dealing with these police officers, it seems like to me they make up the law along the way when it comes to us. Horrible. So I looked at him. I sat back in my seat. You talking about somebody doing woosah out on the inside, taking a breath, and me. Simply, I did not want to reach in my pocket to pull my information out. It was as simple as that. I didn't want to reach. And on top of it, I didn't feel like I should have. So I was like, I want to keep the peace. I'm messing now. Y'all talk about me later. We're a business owner now. We want to do things right. We want to stay positive. She over here chuckling, y'all, if y'all can't hear. So I looked over at the young buck. Yeah, I said it. And I was like, you got a pen? And he started reaching for a pen. And I was like, my name is Charles L. Mans Jr. And then he asked me for my birth date. Now, I won't say it now, but I gave him my birth date. And then he left to go check. I did not want to pull out my ID. So they stayed gone for, it seemed like 10 minutes. He never came back, the one that asked for my information. The other one finally came back and said, well, listen, I don't know what was going on with that. You might want to look into that. And T just, trying to keep the peace and keep things calm, asked for a couple of suggestions. He said, well, what do I suggest to look to in order to get this resolved? And he said a couple of words, and he says, we won't write you up or anything. We'll just, say this is just a notification, and he sent us on our way. And we never told my brother-in-law or my father-in-law about the instance that took place. All on the inside, I'm just pushing it away. But subjugate, wanting to be brought under the enemy, any way that he can find a way in. I have other stories about experiences on the train, but I'll save that for another time. Those of us that are marked, that's why I said in one video, people saying that I'm chosen. I'm chosen. And, and almost, they're gleeful about it and prideful about it and proud about it. It's nothing wrong with that, but be careful, be careful, be careful. And I don't say that as a warning. I want you to take note. Those that have an assignment, I'll simply say by the universe, by God, by spirit, by the Lord of hosts, that have assignment on this side of glory. You're marked. Everybody don't like you. They see you coming a mile away. But the message I have on today is subjugated no more. No more. Because the weapons of our warfare, they are not carnal, but mighty through God to the pulling down of strongholds. He's given unto us power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Let me calm down. It's late. I got neighbors. But they see you coming a mile away. Some of them have things on the inside that ain't quite right. And when they see light coming their way, this is why the attacks. This is why the disregard. They don't know why they don't like you. They just don't like you. That's why I put the caveat. It ain't just because of the police. It just happened to be that they were used to try to subjugate, to bring you down. They want you knuckled under. There's a couple of times, here's a sidebar. Because I remember a time when my son got pulled over. I won't talk about it. It takes Renee to talk about it because she was there. There was another time that they got pulled over. The car was towed. They had just left choir rehearsal. But the police, who aren't us, pulled the car over. And I just want to believe they wanted to know what all those heads were in the car. But my son happened to be nominated to get the different ones back home. So it was a few extra heads in the car. I would have respected them if they just would have went in that direction. We saw the heads in the car. We just wanted to see what was going on. Instead of, we couldn't read your license plate. You had something hanging from your rearview mirror. I'm reaching for the stuff. Sidebar is this. I almost want to. Two things. Go to the police department where I live. I want the book of laws. I want to see them. Because it feels like to me they make up stuff along the way to justify what they're doing. That's A. The other thing in my sidebar is this. I thought if I was ever well established enough, the ministries we're a part of or the social activities we were a part of, that I would have time to tell the people, not just our family, but people we know, to come by. I've made a pact with police officers. I want them to give us the once-over. Tell us the things we need to know, what to look for. Look at our vehicles, what's missing. It's a shame that we have to be that way. And more times than not, it's a culture